Hello, and welcome back to the Nostalgic Futurist podcast. What are we kidding? This isn't a podcast right now, okay? And the reason why it's not a podcast is because there's so little happening in Disneyland that, what's the point? What's the point of talking about the best way to navigate the park during parades or the best way to spend your Christmas in Disneyland when there isn't going to be a Christmas in Disneyland? And now I don't want to get political about this. I can see fairness on both sides. I can see why the parks aren't open right now because coronavirus is getting worse right now because of the cold weather and everybody going kind of back to normal in other parts of the country and blah, 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 right? But I can also feel the frustration of cast members and people like me who honestly feel like I need to go to Disneyland at least once a month so that I can take some of that sweet, sweet nectar and rebuild myself. So I decided that maybe we should have a little bit of tea time in the next, who knows how many months before the park reopens and just talk about what's going on and have kind of a little chat about what's going on with Disneyland, what's going on with Disney World, and what's going on with Disney itself. Now, I want to start this friendly conversation about something that the Disney executives did back over the summer. Now, at the beginning of the coronavirus, when all the parks around the entire world were closed for the first time ever, all the Disney executives took pay cuts. And Bob Iger took a total pay cut. He had no paycheck at all. And this was in solidarity of the company being able to pay their cast members and keep things functioning in the parks while they were closed. Now, when Disney World reopened over the summer, then they reinstated a lot of the paychecks for the Disney executives. And then a month later, they laid off 28,000 cast members from across all of their parks, their cruise line, a lot of things, right? But that's where it doesn't make sense. And even Senator Elizabeth Warren chimed in and asked Bob Chapek, hey, why did you guys get your paychecks back, but you're laying off all these cast members that you could have continued to pay all of their health benefits and stuff during the coronavirus? And he didn't really have an answer. Now, I get it. Having your paycheck is really nice. But unfortunately, when you're a company that's that big, your paycheck is big too. And if you have that many cast members who are getting laid off, and they already don't get good pay, and they already don't get a lot of great benefits, being a cast member is kind of if you're a regular level cast member, it's not the most financially fulfilling job. Now, emotionally fulfilling? Yes. And I went to Downtown Disney back in September, and I was very pleased to see that when cast members asked guests, hey, can you pull your mask up above your nose? Or actually, we're going to have you stand right behind the line as opposed to on it or between them. People just did it and they didn't complain and nobody was like, oh, I don't want to wear my mask. It was pleasant to see people just complying and going, you know what? I'm on private property. This is what Disney would like me to do. I want to be at Disney and I know they'll kick me out if I do it wrong. So I'm going to do it. Isn't that delicious? Isn't that kind of how things should be functioning? Just right now, even if you don't believe that it's true, just wearing your mask so that you can go to Disney and have Disney be open. Because if you don't wear it, unfortunately, you end up with what we have here in California where we don't have a theme park for Disney or really anything besides Knott's and Legoland and SeaWorld. And that leads me to my next point. I think it's really interesting that in California, we have malls open, we can have zoos, and part of SeaWorld's open because they're a zoo, and part of Legoland and Knott's are open because they're doing an outdoor dining thing, which is what Buena Vista Street in DCA is now going to be doing as well, as an extension to Downtown Disney. But there's something about that doesn't feel exactly right either. And I'm not going to get on the whole everybody hates Newsom train. I understand this is a tough time and everybody's doing their job the best they can. And maybe he firmly believes that what he's doing is actually right. And I'm not going to criticize people for that. It's a weird time. But I will say that I do think it's really interesting that an indoor mall can be open, which is often cramped and there's a lot of people and most people aren't complying. I mean, heck, I was in Target yesterday and a woman walked by me just holding her mask in her hand. And I was like, you have to have that on your face to be in here. And this lady just strolling by. And it's that kind of behavior that makes me more understanding of why Disneyland is not reopened, because I can see why the state government would be like, hey, we're one of the biggest states. Let's not have a big coronavirus outbreak like a lot of the other parts of the country and parts of the world are having right now because they reopened too soon, and the timing was bad. It's fall. Like, maybe it would have been better if they reopened in the summer and that was the end of it. I don't know. I don't know anything. But I do think that it is weird that certain things can be open in California and Disneyland cannot, when we know that Disneyland takes care of all of its guests and cast members better than an average indoor mall or an average zoo. And I get it. Like, if you have to open the theme park with just outdoor dining, you can have the shops open, but they have limited amounts of capacity, and then don't have indoor rides. And that's hard because a lot of rides at Disney are indoor. But if that's how we have to open it at first, where you just, you're just really riding the Matterhorn a lot, lots of Jungle Cruise, lots of Mark Twain Riverboat. I mean, heck, I would go to Disneyland if it was just, hey, we're going to open just Adventureland through New Orleans Square. And there's no rides open, but you can go to Tropical Hideaway, you can go to Bengal Barbecue, you can, I think Tarzan's Treehouse would be a little bit too much touch surfaces, but I think that I think they could have the Mark Twain running and the Columbia, and then just sanitize it between. It takes a while for the boat to launch back off again anyway. And just have a lot of outdoor tables along the rivers of America, and you can just smell the beignets and sip a mint julep and eat your Dole Whip. I mean, even if they just opened Disneyland in small chunks and just said, hey, it's an outdoor dining event, just like, the Food and Wine Festival, like something like that, where it's just, I can go take my cute little Instagram photo in my beret. Look, I'm in New Orleans Square. Let people just go do that. And then the people like me, and a lot of the other Disney vloggers and podcasts, we can just sit there and be like, I'm in a Disney park. I'm on a Disney bench. Oh my gosh, I'm in Disney. It's so good. I just think that if we can have zoos open and malls open, why can't we have that? And then my other final thought on this is, it seems weird to me that Disney World can be open, but Disneyland cannot. The majority of people who go to visit Disneyland are actually people who are somewhat local, either people from the LA area, from California, or from some of the bordering states. And even if you put a restriction on Disneyland that said, hey, only California residents can come, that's still a majority of the people who go to Disneyland. But Disney World is a once-in-a-lifetime park, which means that there's a lot of people internationally who come to it. People from all over the United States come to it. And it's not the majority of people who live in Florida in the area who go. So by that math, it seems more likely that the coronavirus would spread in Disney World. It's made up of people from all the states and internationally. Now, I know that they have some restrictions in Florida. I don't know if they're still in place, but they did for a little while about certain states traveling and quarantining. And I don't know if the United States has a quarantine thing if people come from out of the country, but Disneyland's a lot less likely to do that. And when they were first saying that only people within 120 miles of Disneyland could come, I was like, so only people in the LA basin basically can go to Disneyland. And while that's totally great, and that's a lot of people, it doesn't help the businesses outside of Disneyland. All of the hotels and the restaurants and the CVS and Taco Bell and whatever that are around Disneyland, it's like a ghost town. When I went there in September, and I went there once in August as well, I mean, there was nobody out there. Everyone who's going to downtown Disney is just going for a few hours and then going home. I mean, I day tripped it. I day tripped down there both times for that. So you're not helping the businesses outside of Disney, which is one of the main arguments of the local government is to help us get more people to come and use these facilities so these businesses don't go out of business. And I think that's the crux of the whole coronavirus problem. What do you do when you need the economy to be open so people can have enough money to live and not, hate their lives and feel like they're trapped? I mean, heck, I'm an actor. I'm doing nothing. I mean, there's online play readings. I can make videos. I can do this podcast. But really, my career's kind of shut down right now, especially because I'm a theater actor who is about to transition to film. Yikes. Not going well. But you also have the fact that coronavirus is killing people and rendering people with probably going to be lifelong maladies that aren't going away. I have friends who are still having lung pain, having off and on fevers, all kinds of stuff. And so I feel like this is it's one of those horrible moral questions where you're just I don't know what to pick, So that's why I personally think that the only way we're going to fix this is we're going to have to open the economy safely. Now, the state of California has an idea of what that is, as does every other state in the United States, as does the government. Everyone has their own idea. But I will say that if you are going to open things slowly, I would almost always open something run by Disney before I'd open something run by a local mall. You know what I mean? It just feels like Disney, they care and they want to be open. So they're going to follow the rules and they're going to make you follow the rules. They're going to do it. But it just feels like it's still, I know there's something still icky about it. It's but what if it did open and it did get a lot of people sick because of touch surfaces or people were when they were walking through areas without a cast member, they took their masks off. I don't know. It's yes, I get that. But I mean, Disney World has proven that it's working. But then you do have the fact that some of the overseas parks had to reclose because the area around the park had a spike in coronavirus. But as far as we know right now, the parks themselves have not caused any coronavirus, on a massive scale, because they're screening everybody. It's just a weird time. It is such a weird time. And the reason why I just feel like it's easier to talk about this face to face rather than over a podcast. It's yeah, I could tell you the statistics. I could tell you that DCA is going to open November 19th and woo, it's adding to downtown Disney and what stores are going to open, but everybody's doing that. So I just thought, I'll just give my thoughts on the whole thing and just, keep pondering how much I really need Disneyland in my life. It's a hard time. It's a very, very hard time for a lot of us. Very hard. And I think it's unfair when people say that Disneyland is not essential. I'm just saying, it's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of happiness. It's a lot of magic that we're missing out on right now. All right. Now we're going to talk about one of the things that is making me very frustrated. Disney recently laid off not only the live performers in Disneyland, the Frozen show, Mickey and the Magical Map, but they laid off everybody in Orlando too. The Finding Nemo show, the Beauty and the Beast show, the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. Now, I've never been to Disney World. And if I don't get to see the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular at least once in my life, I'm gonna be really upset because I needed to see that in person. Anyway, I just find that it worries me because Disney as a company is not who Disney the person was, if that makes sense. Walt Disney, he's the good old American boy. He went bankrupt. He just wanted to draw cartoons. And then after that, he just really wanted to innovate in the film industry and then got bored with that. So he's I want to make a theme park, but it's themed. It's not just for amusement. It's a theme park. So it's got to be good. It's got to be themed. People need to feel like they're in the movies. And that got his attention, right? And Walt was a creator. He wasn't the money man. That's what his brother was there for. He was there to be oh, well, that's a lot of money. And Walt's I want real gold on the castle. And Roy was no. And Walt was well, when you're on vacation, I'm just going to put that on up there. And he did. But I don't think that a lot of the people who run Disney now always exactly remember Uncle Walt for the ideals Uncle Walt had. I don't know how Walt Disney would feel knowing that his company owns like almost the entire world. Like they own everything. Like they own ESPN and Fox and it's everything. Like they just keep buying stuff. And I don't know how he would feel about that being the person that he was. You know, towards the end of his life, he was really focusing on building Epcot. And Epcot was supposed to be his experimental prototype of what could we do in the future to make city life better? How can we fix urban planning? How can we blah, 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 right? And even if he was misguided at times, he was trying to be a philanthropist. He was trying to keep giving to the world because it just made him feel good. And that's great. If helping the world makes you feel great, I'm not going to shame you for that. But the problem is that Disney now is run like a mega corporation. You know, we're going to charge you up every time that we like raise prices and everything keeps getting more and more expensive. And it's like they've lost some of the soul. And I personally feel like the soul of Disney is the cast members, especially the live performers. Because they're the ones who like walk up and you're like, oh my gosh, that's Princess Aurora. And even though your adult brain's like, that's not a real princess, you're like child brains, like, it's a princess, oh my gosh, she's looking at me. Hi, Princess Aurora, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. You know, we all get like that. And I cry when I watch parades. Even when I watch them like now on YouTube to just, you know, have a good cry, like, there's something about those cast members who are like, hi, I'm, you know, dancer in the street number 6. But they come up to the crowd and they like have moments with people. They're like, hey, little boy, do you really like this thing? You know, like, isn't this an awesome parade? And they're like, I love pirates. And they're like, I'm a pirate. You know, there's a connection that happens that they're able to bring that regular cast members bring as well, but they get to do it in character, which is like more fun to me as an actor. But you know, I mean, I wasn't even a big fan of the Frozen show. I much more preferred Aladdin. I thought Aladdin was way better, and it was so fun to watch all the big puppets and them flying on the magic carpet, and just everything was so good. But if we don't have live performances in the parks, and yes, I understand right now there's issues with equity and there's issues with, can we have people standing by that long? You know, people are congregating and then they're going to spread the virus and all that stuff. But I think that we need to have live performances to make Disney Disney. And I'm really hoping that with all these layoffs, that they're not getting rid of these things forever. I know there's whispers and rumors that these are going to go away forever, but please, 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 if you're going to get rid of it, replace it with something even better that's still live performances. I don't want another big old ride right there. I want to have the Finding Nemo show. And if it's not Finding Nemo, then make it Up, or make it Coco, or make it something. But it has to be good and it has to be live. Because live theater is kind of always kind of fading away into the nighttime a little bit. And there is something about live performances that you just can't capture on film. I mean, I loved watching Hamilton on Disney Plus, but I've seen Hamilton in person, 100% better. Because there's an energy. There's the fact that the actors can see you. There's something, you know what I mean? You see them, they see you, it's a whole thing. And so I'm really hoping that as we get control of this virus, as we get a vaccine, as we find better ways to treat it, as people become kinder, hopefully, please, please, please become kinder. I want to see that live performances are going to come back and that these cast members are going to get called back in and maybe Disney will hire me. I don't know. I mean, that was always like my plan. I was going to move to LA and I was going to be an actor, but you know, maybe I'm a Jungle Cruise skipper on the side, or, you know, I was Anna in the Frozen show, you know, just a little Anna. Maybe all the Annas. I don't know. You know? And it just feels hard knowing that not only is my career path gone and the happiest place I like to go to, but I'm watching other people lose their dreams. And that's hard. Disney's supposed to be about making dreams, not destroying them. And that brings us back to the paychecks. I mean, why are you getting a, you know, multi-million paycheck when you could be giving that to the cast members who unfortunately can't perform right now because equity is not letting them, or, you know, the state government isn't, or Disney itself has just decided it's not safe? It's just a question. It's no judgment. but a question. Thank you guys for joining us on our first tea chat with the Nostalgic Futurist, not podcast right now. I really thank you guys for all listening to me rant, and let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed having, getting to see my face, or if you want me to go back to just being a voice that haunts your dreams, whatever. Also, subscribe to the channel. I mean, I don't have any subscribers, which just feels weird because I have so much awesome stuff to say about Disney that it's just, ranting about Disney. Why would you not subscribe? I also want to give a shout out that if you want to know where I got this awesome sweatshirt, it's Bumble Bunch Creations. You can check her out on Instagram. She's based in England, so if you want to pay a lot for shipping, go for it. But the sweatshirt is really awesome and I really appreciate it. So thank you to her for that. And thank you all for joining me on another episode. I hope to see you guys soon with maybe some better news.